Otis, Kokendorfer, Jackson,
Here.
Lubes,
Here.
Joliet,
Here.
Nelson,
Here.
and Chair, do you have a quorum?
Excellent. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of January 11th, 2022. If there aren't any corrections to the previous minutes, do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Loop, support by Commissioner Joliet. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Before we move forward with a motion, I do want to declare that item number D, Human Resources Appointment Retirement Board Citizen Member Confirmation, has been added this morning. Last Thursday, the Retirement Board did confirm, after going through rounds of interviews, they did confirm a member for the citizen member of the Retirement Board. So I just wanted to make it clear that that item D was added this morning, and the purpose of really getting that on the agenda today is to make sure that we have this on our board agenda by the end of this month. So starting in February, the Retirement Board can have a full 9 board member panel. So if there aren't any objections to that item being added, do we have a motion to approve the agenda? Motion by Commissioner Lubes, support by Commissioner Jackson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Agenda's approved. Next up, we'll move on to our first public comment. As a reminder, this is for items that are related to the agenda, and individuals have 3 minutes during public comment. So if there's anyone from the public who would like to address the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee, please step forward at the head of the table and state your name and community in which you reside in.
Happy New Year. This is Tasha Shergan from Clarkston.
Good morning.
I want to acknowledge that I love the idea that you put the random acts of kindness on the agenda. I think the world needs more love. I always tell my children, love is the highest energy vibration, so everything we have to do comes from a place of love. I do have one question, though. I would love to see how we can get the resolution to ban medical discrimination on a committee agenda or the full board agenda. You know, like, we're doing fabulous things by talking about random acts of kindness, but I think we need to go deeper and protect our citizens against medical discrimination. Thank you.
Thank you, Sasha. Is there anyone else who would like to address the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee? As a reminder, this is the first public comment for items related to the agenda. We'll also have a second public comment at the end for items that are not on the agenda. All righty. Seeing that there is no one who would like to address the Legislative Affairs and Legislative Affairs and Government Operations, public comment is now closed. Next up, we'll move on to communications. Given that we have no communications, we'll move on down to the consent agenda. We have 2 items on our consent agenda. The first one, item A, resolution designating February 17th, 2022 as National Random Acts of Kindness Day in Oakland County. And we also have another item B, resolution designating February 2022 as African American History Month in Oakland County. Do we have a motion to accept these items under the consent agenda? Motion by Commissioner Jackson, support by Commissioner Lubes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Oh, I'm sorry. Those
roll
are
call.
Resolutions, right? So we,
Yes.
yeah, we do need a roll call.
Let me go back and say roll call, please. Prompt the vote.
Okay, I am having technical issues with so I'm going to do it verbally. Jackson,
Yes.
Lubes,
Yes.
Joliet,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 4 yeas, 0 nays.
4 yeas, 0 nays. Consent agenda is moved. Next up, we'll move on to item 9, which is our regular agenda. The first item on the agenda is item A, Parks and Recreation, contract lease with the City of Madison Heights for George W. Suarez Friendship Woods, Red Oaks Nature Center. Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Joliet, support by Commissioner Loops. I believe we've got Melissa here with us this morning, so good morning, Melissa.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. This item, there's really no major changes to the lease that we're bringing you this morning. We did make a few minor changes to the lease, really just to reflect kind of some ongoing conversations and changes that we have made out there at the Nature Center, just in our relationship overall with the city of Madison Heights, really just reflecting the way that we've been working out there, the way that we've been operating the Nature Center, some minor things in terms of how we're maintaining the facility overall. Again, just really kind of minor things in terms of what we're maintaining out there, what the city of Madison Heights is maintaining over there. I think the commissioners know we removed the parking permit requirements, so that kind of changed who was maintaining what portions of the parking lot and some of the gates and the fencing and things like that. And we really just wanted to spell out, you know, here are the things that we're going to maintain. Here are the things that the city of Madison Heights is going to maintain. You know, things like where the trash containers are going and who's picking that up and things like that. So, you know, nothing major, just little things that we wanted to correct. And at the same time, because things have been going so well down there, we wanted to use this as an opportunity to essentially restart the clock on that 25-year lease. So the original lease started in 2012. We kind of want to restart that in 2021, which is when we put this together for our commission. So this current lease that we have before you today would go through 2046. It's been a great partnership with the city of Madison Heights. We love being down there. We love having the Nature Center as part of the complex down there at Red Oaks. We see about 50,000 people a year come through the Nature Center. In a year, we see about, I think about 10,000 people come through the programs down there. These last few years have obviously been a little wonky, but we hope to get those programs back up and running in the years to come as well. So overall, it's just been a really great partnership. This was an opportunity to kind of clean up and tighten up that lease a little bit and extend it 25 years into the future. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Excellent. Thank you, Melissa. Commissioners, is there any questions or comments in regards to this item? All righty. Seeing none, prompt the vote or roll call, please.
Loops,
Yes.
Joliet,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
I'm sure you have 4 yeas, 0 nays.
4 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. Thank you so much, Melissa.
Thank you.
Next up, we'll move on to item B of our regular agenda, Board of Commissioners resolution appropriating funding to commemorate Elizabeth Denson, 4th as the first African-American landowner in Oakland County. Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Jackson, support by Commissioner Loops. Commissioner Loops, or I'm sorry, Commissioner Jackson, do you want to speak on behalf of this resolution as a sponsor?
Well, yes, I just wanted to say I just think that it's a very important designation because not only that it's African-American, but an African-American woman. And I'm very proud of that history that we as a county would like to recognize her. So that's as far as I like to go. As far as our historical efforts on the commission have been very broad, deep, and this would just make it more inclusive. So
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. And for, as the document states, within this resolution, one-time funding of $5,000 is available in the Board of Commissioners fiscal 2022 budget professional services account, which will be utilized to create 2 memorial historical signs and 1 memorial street sign in the city of Pontiac. Is there any further questions or comments in regards to this item? Seeing none, roll call, please.
On item 9B, Commissioners Joliet,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Loops,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 4 yeas, 0 nays.
4 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. Next up, we'll move on to item number C, which is Board of Commissioners resolution establishing a regional partnership between Oakland, Wayne, and Macomb counties for broadband equity and water infrastructure. Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Loop, support by Commissioner Jackson. I know that Chairman Woodward wanted to speak on behalf of this resolution. However, he's running a little late this morning due to some car troubles. But essentially, This resolution is showing that there is support between, obviously, our tri-counties in regards to taking a look at our broadband equity and water infrastructure. Chief Dibb, is there anything that you can add and contribute to this resolution just for a little bit extra insight?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And I know that this became an issue to discuss in regards to after our Tri-County Summit that just took place here right at the tail end of 2021.
Correct. So the legislative bodies of Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb got together to discuss common issues and what they determined to be areas that they could collaborate on going forward. And the two biggest areas are those two that were mentioned in the resolution. And so Macomb County and Wayne County are passing the exact same resolution to show solidarity and to get this regional collaboration going.
Excellent. And it sounds like, so the expectation is to have the next 6 months to kind of meet, discuss, and come back to the table with what was learned and what was discussed within that 6 months moving forward?
Yes, at the next Tri-County Summit, which will probably be in the fall or later part of this year.
Excellent. Thank you, Chief Dibb. Commissioners, any questions or comments in regards to this item? Alrighty, seeing none, roll call, please.
On item 9C, Commissioners Jackson,
Yes.
Lubes,
Yes.
Joliet,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 4 yeas, 0 nays.
4 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. Next up, we'll move on to item D of our regular agenda, Human Resources, Appointment Retirement Board Citizen Member Confirmation. Do we have a motion? Oh, we don't need a motion, do we?
I mean, you need a motion, yeah, but I don't know if you want discussion before. Go ahead.
Do you want me to open up for discussion first?
For this kind of thing, yeah, usually.
Okay, so let me go back a moment. This item, Appointment Retirement Board Citizen Member Confirmation. As a reminder, we're voting to recommend the individual that the Retirement Board brought forward. I will say that on January 21st, 2022, I received a letter from the Retirement Board and Deferred Compensation Board recommending Dion Stevens be confirmed as the citizen member of this board for the term ending December 31st, 2025. And just as a little refresher, this item did come before us here in committee a few months ago. The motion failed. So because it failed, the Retirement Board went back to the table, reopened up applications and interview, and as of, I believe, last Thursday at the Retirement and Pension Board meeting, this individual was confirmed. I'm happy to share that Dion Stevens, it was a unanimous vote across the board, and so our task today is to move forward or not move forward with the recommendation of this individual. So, Commissioner Joliet.
Is there a resume or anything? It's not in my packet.
So that's a great question. There is not a resume. Given that the Retirement Board, unlike LAGO with what we're going to discuss with, let's say, our
They don't have to
OCHN,
submit.
they don't have to.
Okay.
They conduct their own interview process.
Okay.
Our task as the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee is just to recommend to the full board. So our full board will make the deciding vote. It's just we're recommending with our votes moving forward with this individual. Commissioner Lubes.
That was my question, asking about something to review. Otherwise, it seems like a formality to me.
Yeah, it is. Commissioner Jackson.
We have a confirmation letter in our packet, signed by the Secretary, Carly Webster.
Yes.
So the members that are on the letterhead, are these the operating members of this board?
That is correct.
Okay, so.
Yes, it is a 9-member panel.
I see, so it's a small board, and the vacant citizen member is the position that this
Correct.
person is going to assume.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Those are great questions. Commissioners, any other questions or comments in regards to voting to recommend this individual to the Retirement Board for the citizen member? Alrighty, seeing none, roll call, please.
Now we can have a motion.
Oh.
For the
Thank you, Miss Pam. Do we have a motion to recommend Dion Stevens? Motion by Commissioner Jackson, support by Commissioner Loops. Roll call, please.
Okay. Commissioners Jackson,
Yes.
Loops,
Yes.
Julia,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 4 yeas, 0 nays.
4 yeas, 0 nays. Motion carries. Next up, we'll move on to our last item of our regular agenda, Board of Commissioners, appointment Oakland Community Health Network applications. No motion, right? Or do we need a motion? Okay. As we previously discussed during our last LAGO meeting, we've got 5 different appointments to fill. I want to give a shout out to Pam for organizing things so nicely and easy. It looks like that we've got, as I said, we've got 5 appointments to take a look at. As a reminder, these are 3-year terms. The first appointment we need to take a look at is Sarah Guadalupe. In previous conversations, we have to fill the remainder of her term. It is my hope that given her term expires on 3/31/22, I would like to hopefully appoint an individual who not only will fill the next month, 2 months, but also have that individual also be taking on this expired appointment on 3/31 for another 3 years. The second member is Micaiah Newman. She's a primary consumer, and she did reapply to OCHN. The third individual, Jean-Paul Torres, we did get confirmation this morning that he is interested and still remaining on the board, so he is the incumbent. His term expires on 3/31/22. From the general public, the fourth appointment, we did get confirmation that Hadas Bernard, she did respond, but she did share that she will not be reapplying. So we need to replace her, and she is, secondary. Thank you, Commissioner Lubes. And then the fifth one, Eric Lindemeyer, he resigned due to moving out of the state. So he is a general public position with the expiring term of 3/31/23. So at this point, I would like to open it up to commissioners for your feedback and inquiries. Commissioner Lubes.
I'd like to nominate Yvette Woodruff for the representative of an agency or occupation having a working involvement with mental health services, and that would actually replace Sarah. So I knew and worked with Sarah for many years, and she has moved out of state for another career opportunity. I also have worked with Yvette Woodruff for many years.
Okay.
In one of my jobs, and she continues to work in the mental health services. Yvette and I actually went to the same high school, but we didn't know each other. The school was so
wow.
large, and she's a year behind me in school, but then our paths crossed again, and she is a person who has a great deal of common sense and experience in mental health.
Oh, excellent. I know one of the biggest characteristics I always ask when we have these discussions is team player, right? I think being a team player is really important, especially on our OCHN board. Commissioner Lubes, do you have any experience? It sounds like you do, working with her. Mm-hmm. Do you foresee any problems with being a team player and working with the group that we have already on our board?
Yvette is certainly a team player. I think she will be the expert because of her wealth of experience in there. Okay. She also lives in Pontiac, so getting to and from meetings is not difficult for her. She's in the area.
Okay, good. That's another really important feature too, because as we all know, this is a very active board. It is a time commitment for sure. So it is an important question that we do ask ourselves as we do go through these candidates. Are they aware of the time commitment, and are they able to meet that time commitment? Thank you, Commissioner Lubes. Is there anyone else that you'd like to bring forward as a recommendation?
For secondary consumer, I would nominate John Young. He has a child involved in services through in OCHN, and he is a coworker of Sarah, or was a coworker of Sarah before she moved. So
Okay.
he has an idea of what the expectations are and what will happen.
Okay. While we're on you, Commissioner Lubes, is there anyone else?
I think Malkaya and John have done a great job in their positions.
I do too. I know that the feedback that I have received in regards to our two incumbents has been really great. And I would like to support moving forward with reappointing Micaiah Newman and John Paul, both as incumbents, Micaiah as the primary consumer and John Paul as the general public. Commissioners, is there anyone else who would like to bring forward? I know Commissioner Jackson, would you like to?
Well, first of all, I'd like to agree with Commissioner Lubes on recommending Malkaya Newman and John Paul Torres. They have proven to be dedicated voices on the board,
Absolutely.
and I would like to see them return. As far as the position of, and what does it exactly stand for? Mental work representative of an agency or occupation having a working involvement with mental health services. I'd like to bring forth Bobby Hayes Goodlum, just because of her experience in the academic sector and dealing with students specifically. Right now, we know with just the pandemic itself, mental health services for our young has been highlighted and is a need that has been expressed greater than ever before. I looked over both her and Yvette Woodruff's resumes, and both of them have, stellar credentials. Both of them are PhD'd and have a lot of experience. But just even our last commission meeting, when Dana Lessony came, and they spoke about Oxford and the need for mental health navigators in our schools. And I think right now, because I'm looking at the current board and what it consists of, it looks as though a lot of those folks are already experienced service providers with opioid use and drug use. And I think that this individual brings another lens to the board. I'm working with students as a superintendent, special education person, at all levels. So I would really like to have us consider her as a candidate.
Excellent, thank you. Commissioner Jackson, is there anyone else that you would like to discuss at this time bringing forward?
No.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Lubes?
Under general public, and that would be a fifth position, is Alyssa Valden, who is a school psychologist. So under general public, she would be able to address any issues in the schools and what her experience has been.
And so the Alyssa Valden, that would be in replace of Eric Linda Myers' position, or appointed position as the general public member. Okay, Commissioner Joliet.
I'm trying to whip through these.
I feel you. No, there's a lot of good information attached.
I had also selected Yvette Woodruff after going through them. Her vast experience really impressed me, and that you can speak to her also within a working relationship. I also support the two incumbents. The only one that I wanted to recommend, I believe, for general consumer was Sarah May, in that she is, as far as I could tell, she was a person that applied that actually has a special needs child that she obviously had to take care of from infancy, is now transitioning into adult living. And she's a working mom. So I thought that she might be a good advocate or voice to help the rest of the board see what, people on the ground are having to go through and the challenges of having to work through systems.
Okay. Alrighty, so let's see, we've got. Okay, so it looks as it stands, I think we all are in agreement with looking at reappointing the incumbents, right? Okay, so we can take, Micaiah Newman and John Paul, both are incumbents, general public and primary consumer, and that leaves us with the representing an agency / working in mental health, the secondary. It sounds like at this point I haven't heard anyone else bring forward another candidate outside of John Young. Commissioner Jackson?
I'm just going back to the other position real quickly.
Okay, which one?
The representative, what is it again?
Yeah, representing an agency or working in the mental
mental
health field. That acronym's a pretty wild whopper.
Yes, for the representative of an agency or occupation having a working involvement with mental health services. I just feel as though a vote for one of these three individuals today would not be proper without an interview.
Okay.
Because, we interviewed folks that were competing for positions in the past for this board, and I think we should have an interview for these individuals.
Okay, I definitely can support that. I think that's a fair thing to do, especially in light of this is a very active board, and mental health has always been important, right? But as we all know, throughout the pandemic, I think it's become more exacerbated in light of events, and there's been other events within our communities as well. So this is a very important board, and I can support Commissioner Jackson moving forward, looking at doing interviews. And it sounds like, given that, so the first category of the representing agency working in mental health, there's been 2 individuals that have been brought forward. We've got Yvette, let's see. We've got Yvette Woodruff, and then we also have Bobby Hayes Goodrum. And then it sounds like we're all in an agreement with the incumbents. I'm sorry?
Tinita Cheatham is the third.
Yeah, the third person as well.
For the provider of mental health services?
For the working involvement, agency or occupation having working involvement. I'm sorry, are you talking about the provider? See, I got confused.
No, I know, right? No, I think we're talking about the providers.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's okay. So incumbents, Micaiah Newman and John Paul, it sounds like we're all in agreement moving forward with confirming their reappointment. It looks like we need to set up interviews at our next LAGO meeting on February 8th for the representing agency working in mental health. 2 individuals have been brought forward. We have Yvette Woodruff and Bobby Hayes Goodrum. And then it also sounds like looking at replacing Eric Lindemeyer from the general public. There's been 2 names that have been brought forward, Alyssa Valdrin, and it looks like Sarah May. Is that correct, commissioners? That those were the 2 individuals for the general public? And then it looks like there has not been any other name been brought forward in regards to filling the secondary position of Hadas, and the name that has come forward is John Young. So if I'm recapping correctly, it sounds like at our next LAGO meeting on February 8th, we'll have interviews for the representing agency / working in mental health appointment, as well as the general public appointment with Alyssa Valdin and Sarah May. Yes, Commissioner Jackson?
Provider of mental health services, Randall Bruce and Chandra Randall. Those positions, there are 2 open positions there. There's no,
I'm sorry, what
for
names?
the provider of mental health services position,
What were the names?
One
Randall
position
Bruce
open.
and Chandra Randall.
So you're talking about the last 2 individuals of the provider of mental health services?
They both, are there 2 positions open there? They're not competing?
There are not. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pam, the provider of mental health services and then the representative of an agency or occupation having working involvement with mental health services, do those fall under the same category?
No.
So
No,
they're
the
2 separate.
Provider is actually a doctor that provides services directly to patients.
So if I'm understanding correctly, though, I don't think that there's any open vacancies for provider of mental health services. Is that correct? Are you reading that right?
Yeah, the ones you are replacing right now are not, they don't fall in that category, but you do have the flexibility to.
Okay. Commissioners, do you understand what Pam just said?
No.
So if you look on the second page of our document in regards to the mental health code, let me go back into the very first page of the Board of Commissioners appointments. On that right-hand side under remarks, it talks about the composition of this board. So essentially, this is a 12-board member, and we have to meet the following requirements at minimum. So 1/3 have to be consumers of mental health services, agencies and occupations having a working involvement with mental health services and the general public. No more than 4 members of a board may be county commissioners, and no more than half of the total board members be state, county, or local officials. With that being said, if you go on down to then the mental health code, it breaks it down even more. So essentially what Pam was sharing is that given that we do have over a dozen applicants, there are options to look at taking and pulling if they fit the requirements. So AKA, there are individuals who did apply who do fall under technically a few different areas on that board. So it sounds like, Commissioner Jackson, are you bringing somebody forward?
No, I was just looking at the document in our packet,
Yeah.
the 2 names that are listed. Are they fulfilling, I couldn't really tell by the documents that you just went over where they fit, what,
Well, let's take a
Are
look.
they competing for the same slot or?
Sure, no, let's take a look. I'm going to scroll down to their resumes.
They're not incumbents.
We did receive applications that were not advertised for those positions, but we received applications in
Okay.
those categories.
Did you hear what Ms. Pam said? Pam said that we did receive applications for positions that were not vacant.
Okay, so is that what's going on here with these 2 individuals? They're just listed as applicants that applied, but we're not considering them?
Well, I pulled up, so let's say Chandra Randall, I did pull up her resume, and it looks like presently she works at the Hawthorne Center as a clinical transition social worker. So from the information that I'm reading, just at a glance, it does potentially look like that she could fall under a few actually different categories.
So my question would be, how are we going to handle these? We're going to try to determine where they fit? Or what's our procedure for the people that applied?
Are you interested in nominating them for
No.
one of the 5 open positions? That would be your task.
Oh, really? Okay.
Essentially.
No.
Thank you, Commissioner Loobs. That was a clean-cut, easy way to say it. I appreciate that. Keep it simple.
Okay. No.
Does that make sense, Commissioner Jackson?
Well, yeah, if that's how we're going to handle them. I just needed it defined.
Sure. No, absolutely. Commissioner Joliet?
When are their terms up, these 2 people? Because they're not listed on the second or first page of our packet.
So I think there's a little confusion.
I don't
They're not.
They're not on the board right now. They're applying to be on the board.
I see.
But I don't
Okay.
think
All right,
they've,
I gotcha. Okay.
yes, put any position
They
on
didn't
there.
know what they
Sure.
were applying for.
Right,
apparently.
right.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
Did that answer your question, Commissioner Jackson? Commissioner Juliet?
I'm good, yeah.
Excellent. As I said, this is a little tricky on this board because there are specific categories and there are specific minimums, but it also allows really the flexibility when you do get multiple applicants to really take a look at, well, technically they might have applied for, let's say, a primary consumer, but they also really, at the end of the day, they could fit in a couple other ones. So the good news is that we've got a really great list of candidates. Resumes are amazing across the board, and I just want to say I do appreciate and thank all those individuals who did apply because, as I said, this is a very important board. Mental health is significant right now, as it's always been, but I do want to just say I do appreciate and thank all those applicants who have submitted their resumes and applications. Commissioner Jackson.
Just quickly, the woman's name that you mentioned who stated she would not be returning?
Yes, that's
What was her
Hadas.
name again, and when does her appointment expire?
Her name is Hadas Bernard,
Bernard?
and she is a secondary, and her appointment expires on 3/31/22.
So with that being said, there's not an individual right now in line for that has applied, or we
There-
would
but-
take one of those two people and look at?
So from my understanding, I'm sorry,
We
go ahead,
nominated
Commissioner.
Alyssa Varden and Sarah May for that position, so we're going to interview those two
Okay,
people
so
to
that
fill
someone
that
is already
position.
designated for that.
Well, just as a point of correction, I believe the Alyssa and Sarah May were under General Public Eric Lindemeyer replacement,
Correct.
correct?
So they're
And then
not-
Hadas
yes,
Bernard,
Is
um,
secondary.
she is completing her term, so she'll be still a
John
member
Young.
until 3/31/22. But the idea was, given that we had opened up applications and really it's just right around the corner in less than 2 months, it's being proactive with the candidates and interest of individuals who did apply for, more specifically, it was Sarah Guadalupe's because we needed to fill, she's a vacant position right now. So when we did open up applications back in December, it was with the forethought that we could take a look at filling the expiring terms on March 31st.
So that's why Malkia Newman and John Paul Torres are up before us today, because they have positions in 2 different categories that are expiring on March the 31st, whereas Hadas Bernard has expressed the same, but we aren't looking, or we don't have someone applying for her position at this moment.
So if I'm understanding, Commissioner Jackson, so Micaiah and John Paul, both of their terms expire on the 31st of May. They both have shown interest in being reappointed.
Okay.
Hadas is going to remain until March 31st, but she's expressed that she's not interested in moving forward with another reappointment on the board.
So we'll be replacing her very soon.
Correct, and one of the name that was brought forward as a recommendation was John Young.
I see. A secondary consumer.
Correct.
All right, so those other 2 guys that are here on this list, they're just out there.
Correct, and again, go back to one of the things that Pam shared was that there were individuals who did apply for positions on the OCHN board that weren't vacant and weren't expiring.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I know this is
Well, it does
tricky. I'm
seem-
glad that we're
no,
having these
I'm just-
conversations.
It's just points of clarification. I just, now I see why John Young is where he is and why Malkia Newman and John Paul Torres are where they are.
Sure,
So, okay, thank you.
sure,
Appreciate it.
absolutely. Commissioner Lubes.
I'd like to make a motion that we recommend Malkia and John to continue under general public and John Young as secondary consumer. And then along with that is to conduct interviews with Yvette, Bobby, Alyssa, and Sarah on February 8th for the representative of an agency or occupation, or having a working involvement with mental health services position, and also for Alyssa and Sarah, the general public, 5th position.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you correctly, we've got a motion on the table to reappoint incumbents Micaiah Newman and John Paul. Micaiah Newman, primary consumer, John Paul, general public. So motion to reappoint those two individuals with their term that expires on 3/31, with the expectation of appointing them for the next 3 years. I also hear that there is a motion to move forward with having John Young replace Hadas Bernard as the secondary, with the expectation that Hadas will be completing that term until March 31st. And then moving forward, as Commissioner Loop said in her motion, moving forward with interviewing on February 8th, Bobby Goodrum and Yvette, oh gosh, I don't want to.
Woodruff.
Yvette Woodruff, as well as moving forward with interviews for the general public appointment in regards to Alyssa Valden and Sarah May. Is there support? Support by Commissioner Joliet.
Just a clarification of the, did you say Bobby Goodman as well?
So
I had 3.
interview for the representing agency working in mental health. So it looks like Bobby Hayes Goodrum and Yvette Woodruff.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
So we had a motion by Commissioner Lubes, support by Commissioner Joliet. Roll call, please.
Commissioners Lubes,
Yes.
Joliet,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 4 yeas, 0 nays.
4 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. All righty, next up, we'll move on to item number 10 on our regular agenda. This is now our second public comment. As a reminder, this can be for any item. Individuals have 3 minutes during public comment to speak. So at this point, I'd like to open up our second public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee? Please make your way to the head of the table and state your name and community in which you reside in. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Beth Felix, and I'm from Clarkston. And as we were discussing mental health, I believe that it's very important, and it's, our suicide rate here in Michigan has skyrocketed. My concern is with these kids being masked and we keep going to this remote learning, and this is not okay, especially when we have the superintendent from Oxford, and I quote, this memo was released before winter break, and he stated, through a partnership with Oakland County Health Division and Oakland County Community Health Network, we have heard countless times from mental health experts over the last 2 weeks that social interaction and human contact play critical roles. I don't know if any of you have been at the Legacy Center to see where these students gather, but they're having this human contact and this interaction, and it's all being done without masks. And I think this is paying a detriment to our children, keeping them out of the schools when our schools keep closing for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. This is not acceptable, and this is attributing to this mental health.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public who would like to address the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee? Good morning, Sasha.
Tasha from Clarkston. I do agree with Beth. I actually pulled my kids out of the public schools when everything started happening, and we do a homeschool hybrid program. It's been the best for their mental well-being. I've through this whole experience. You know, stores are weird. Every place you go, it's awkward, it's weird. You're not sure if you should help people or not help people. Will they be hurt if you get too close to them? It's a weird world. We need to do whatever we can to preserve our kids. But also on that note, on social media the other day, I think it was about 4 or 5 days ago, I screenshotted it. Public Health Oakland posted an article saying over 40,000 women who've received the COVID vaccine during pregnancy found no preterm birth or, so it goes on saying how safe the vaccine is. But then I see a couple of news streams later, FOIA docs revealed Pfizer shot caused avalanche of miscarriages in stillborn babies. So where is the information? Apparently the public health department has paid a lot of money for social media outreach because it's literally every second or third story in my news feed. But where's the data that backs it up? So how can a FOIA request from the vaccine manufacturer be in direct conflict with the information that we're getting from the health department? I'm just looking for answers. I don't have the answers. I'm hoping you guys can help guide us in the right direction to get the truth out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Tasha. Is there anyone else, excuse me, from the public who would like to address the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee this morning? All righty. Seeing none, I will close our second public comment. Next up, we'll move on to other business. Is there any other business to come before the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee this morning? All right, ladies, seeing none, I will adjourn at 10:29 a.m. Thank you, everyone.